from me. You're having a good time, old sport?
Oh, the whole thing's incredible. I live just next door. He sent me an actual invitation. Seems I'm the only one. I still haven't met Mr. Gatsby. No one's met him. They say he's third cousin to the Kaiser and second cousin to the devil.
I'm afraid I haven't been a very good host, old sport. You see, I'm Gatsby.
His smile was one of those rare smiles that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It seemed to understand you and believe in you just as you would like to be understood and believed in.
Do you want to figure out the themes in The Great Gatsby? I know you do, so stay tuned. Hey there, it's Professor Bernstein, and in this episode of Get Into Lit, I'm going to help you start figuring out the theme or possible themes of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Now, a lot of times, teachers ask you to think, talk, and write about the theme of a literary work. And I found that a lot of times students get confused between the subject or topic of a literary work and the theme. So let's just start off by getting really clear about the distinction between these things. So the subject or topic of a literary work is what the story is about. It's what happens in the story. You're not really entering the realm of analysis. So for instance, one way of describing the subject of The Great Gatsby is to say that it's Nick Carraway's reflection of his time spent in West Egg. Just FYI, West Egg is really Great Neck, which is on Long Island. It's a suburb of New York City, and it also happens to be where I grew up. So that's one way of describing the subject or topic. And there are multiple ways that you could sort of summarize what the story is about. The theme of a novel isn't just what happens in the story. It's not just the subject or the topic of the novel. Rather, the theme is the larger, broader message that the story seems to be communicating. So what's happening here is that you're really entering the realm of analysis, because it's pretty rare for the theme to just be stated in a concise sentence in the story somewhere. It's really where you start having to figure out, well, what is? After I've read all these details, after I've learned about these characters and the conflicts and the tensions and the resolution, what's the message that's being communicated here? And so you're still very close to the text, but you're like a little bit above it, looking over it, thinking about the bigger message. And this is where a lot of students start freaking out and they start searching the internet, hoping to find someone who's going to just give them the answer. Now, this approach, and you might be doing this yourself right now, but this approach is kind of lame, and I think more highly of you than to just give you the answer. What I want to do is teach you how to ask yourself certain questions while you're reading so that you really start learning how to figure out the theme for yourself. Otherwise, every time you read a novel, you're going to have to depend on someone else to tell you what the theme is, and you can really get yourself into a dangerous place of plagiarism if you're doing that. So, and also this approach is really going to help you get into lit on a deeper level. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you 4 main sets of questions that you can be asking yourself while you're reading to start figuring out the theme. And you're going to see it's a lot easier than you think. Okay. The very first thing that I want you to do, you don't even have to use your book for, I want you to think about what comes to your mind when you hear the phrase, the American dream. What images or ideas come to your mind? Really, just trust yourself on this one and just gather up your ideas. You can jot them down. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be full sentences. Just get them out. Okay, here's the second set of questions. Where do the characters in The Great Gatsby seem to be situated in relationship to the American dream? Have they achieved it? Or are they struggling, striving to achieve it? And here's where you really just want to be looking at what are the characters striving to achieve? What are they satisfied with? What are they not satisfied with? And you can look at the characters individually, and then you can sort of compare them to each other and start thinking about how they feel about their situation and what sort of clues the novel and the narrator are giving us about their feelings in relationship to the American dream. The thing that I want you to keep in mind is that the characters don't have complete control over how they're represented, because the way we see them is filtered through the consciousness of the narrator, Nick Carraway. So we really need to be aware of Nick's perspective on the American dream, Nick's perspective on the culture of his time and how it's changed through certain experiences. And I guide you through this process in the next video, where we look at the first few pages of the novel, which is really setting up Nick's perspective and his background and how he perceives things in certain ways and why. So make sure you check out that video. Okay. The fourth set of questions are sort of synthesizing, bringing together what we have been considering, and it's going to help take your level of analysis way up. So what I want you to think about is there one character in the story who seems on the outside to have achieved the American dream? If so, how? What is this achievement? And then, is there something on the inside, inwardly, that this person is lacking and aware of and struggling with? And how do the different characters in the novel perceive this character in relationship to the American dream? And also, I want you to think about Nick Carraway's perspective on this character and what this character represents. Then, I want you to think about, does this novel, does The Great Gatsby, seem to be sending some kind of message about the American dream in the 1920s, or the culture of the 1920s? Is this a blanket statement about America in general, or is it a particular group of people that the novel seems to be communicating a message about? And you want to think about, is this a positive, negative, or mixed message? And is this a message that's being conveyed directly, as in there are specific passages that really state exactly what the theme is? Or is this theme being conveyed more indirectly? And how would you be able to support your interpretation of this message that's being conveyed? And also you could think about, is this a message that's being conveyed through the characters' lives, whether or not they're aware of it? And is it being conveyed through the narrator of the story? If so, how does the narrator, Nick Carraway, convey this theme? Or is this a theme that we just have to sort of figure out for ourselves, like a detective piecing things together as we're reading? So that's it. You've got a set of questions that are going to really help you start getting to one of the themes or a couple of the themes in the novel, and will really help you do more than just read the words on the page. You're really going to start entering the realm of analysis. And at first, it's totally natural to feel uncertain and nervous about stating the theme, and you might be wrong at first, you might have to experiment, but if you don't give yourself the chance to do this, you're never going to learn how to do it. You're always going to be dependent on someone, and that's not cool. So make sure you check out the next video where I'm guiding you through the first couple pages of The Great Gatsby. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd love for you to leave them in the comment box below. And of course, if you like this video, I would love it if you liked it. And I'd also be thrilled if you subscribe to my channel. So take care. Bye.